Hello and welcome to World Talks with me, Anna Kalczyńska, here on TVP World. Good morning. And we start with France in profound political crisis. With a fallen government, no budget, and so much political division, it seems there is no path forward. To discuss France's institutional chaos ahead of the US President-elect Donald Trump's visit to Paris, I'm joined now by Karolina Borońska-Hryniewiecka, Associate Research Fellow at Université Paris 1 Sorbonne. Hello, good morning. Good to have you, madam.
Thank you.
So just to quickly remind our viewers, French Prime Minister Michel Barnier has faced a no-confidence vote as left-wing parties joined by the right-wing parties and united to bring down his government over the budget quarrel. So as we know, President Macron dissolved the parliament 6 months ago. There cannot be elections until July next year. Emmanuel Macron, in a televised speech yesterday, addressed the anti-Republican and irresponsible politicians, accusing them of playing the preliminary presidential election scenario, and refused to step down. So, to start with, who is to blame for this impossible stalemate at this point?
Yes, it's a very complex stalemate, and we've been watching it over months. Basically, in July, when we were talking, we already knew that France is ungovernable, really, because the National Assembly, which is the main chamber, the lower chamber of the French Parliament, is basically so divided that no rational and constructive majority can be found. And that's why Macron decided to single-handedly point to a candidate. In my opinion, a person who really respected and admired Macron for a long time, I think he is to blame for this chaos. One reason I can give to you here. Well, please let's remember that the elections that were called by Macron in June, they brought clear winners and losers, right? There was no majority, an absolute majority in the parliament, but they showed arithmetically which groups, which political spectrum got the most amount of votes, the biggest amount of votes. And that was actually the left and the center left. So the left-wing coalition, we can have a look at this coalition. This is obviously a very eclectic coalition from the extreme left, Mélenchon, La France Insoumise, to socialists, and we have their Greens and ecologists, etc. But this group has received the biggest amount of support. And democratically, for me as a democracy scholar, that means that the prime minister should be appointed from exactly this part of the political spectrum. And I also want to remind one more thing. When Macron dissolved the government, the parliament after the European elections, he clearly addressed French people, French sovereign, said, I want to give you back the voice to decide about the fate and the future of this country. So later on, by appointing Michel Barnier, who came at that time and comes still from the Republican Party, a losing party, in fact, a party that was in chaos as well, because it was fractured. And I want to remind that Éric Ciotti joined Rassemblement National. So that was a weak party. It was not even on the podium after the elections. He basically did not respect the democratic will of the people. So I would say Macron is to blame.
All right. Now he says that this voice has not been properly used and that his message conveyed at that time was misunderstood, apparently. That's what he said yesterday. But just to add some drama to the story, let's remind our viewers that all of this happens ahead of the glory moment, that is the reopening of the refurnished Notre Dame Cathedral, right? And the ceremony takes place on Saturday. It is going to be attended by the President-elect Donald Trump, and that definitely complicates the situation for Macron. So, is he a leader in trouble? What is his image today?
We can see this well, I would say this event this weekend, a very important cultural, political event for France, from two sides. On one hand, it's a huge success, and this is also a moment of glory for France, obviously, after 5 years of rebuilding this jewel of the Gothic architecture, the symbol of France as well, a cathedral that everybody knows. This is a moment where Macron will say, we did it, it's open, you can enjoy it again. And he invited over 50 heads of state, he invited international crowd, diplomats, and he also invited Donald Trump. So this is his decision, obviously. He also invited the still current president of the United States, Joe Biden, and his still first lady, and she will apparently attend the ceremony. But we have to say that it was Macron's gesture, a very strategic and important, obviously, because in 6 weeks, we will have Trump as the main interlocutor in the US. So Trump is coming. Trump is indulging over this invitation. We could have read it on the social media. He's very happy. He's also praising France and Macron. What game is he playing? Well, I think that this is a pragmatic game of a strategist who knows that this is one of the first opportunities for him to visit Europe, to present himself. Now, is he going to present himself as a foreseeable, moderate, I would say, classy leader, or will he provide us with some surprises? We will see.
Mm-hmm. All right. But that definitely doesn't put Emmanuel Macron in a good position, right? A country without a government. So do you think, is it possible to quickly nominate a replacement for Barnier? Who could that be?
Yeah, well, obviously the discussions are ongoing. Probably also Macron cannot sleep very well these days. Yesterday he promised that he will appoint the so-called government of general interest. There is a market of names, obviously. There are usually those leaders who represent the center or center right. So Macron is not looking to the left. So all about what I said, that was the left, and the left is waiting. The socialists are waiting. The socialists, who are a big group, together with La France Insoumise and the others, the Bloc, National Popular Front, they are waiting to be respected. So I don't think this will happen. I think that this will be someone who unites the center-right, and the right as well. Marine Le Pen is a kingmaker since the summer. I think she will continue to be. I also think that Macron will, because he said he's not going to resign, I think he perceives himself, and he said that yesterday, as an anchor of stability, whatever it means for this country now. Well, in a presidential system, he is truly a very important element of the whole puzzle. And obviously, a new presidential election could bring such unpredictability to Europe that it is some sort of responsibility that he wants to stay. On the other hand, democratically speaking, his support in the country is very, very little. 2/3 of French would like him to resign. So it's a very difficult moment. He promised that at the beginning of the next week we will know the name, and I don't think anybody at this moment can project who that could be.
All right. I would like to dwell also on the economical issue here, because the fall of Barnier's government is a strong blow to the euro, as French borrowing costs have reached almost Greek levels. Barnier refused to index pensions on inflation fully and gave Le Pen the casus belli she wanted. Do you think that Barnier could have avoided such a development? Or was it unavoidable?
Well, I believe that if we look at all the, I would say, concessions that Barnier already made to the far right, since he started to work on the budget, I think that they were pretty generous. And I think that this was a game played by Le Pen to basically show, okay, let's see how much I can push on you. So basically, he has respected certain postulates. He has even as the first prime minister from the Republican front, he invited Le Pen to this discussion. He invited far-right to the discussion on the budget. But this indexation of pensions has been the trigger, right? But it's not only that. It's also that he used this Article 49.3, which allows the government to pass legislation without the vote of parliament. This is obviously constitutional prerogative. But if we again look at things not from the legal point of view, but from the democratic point of view, this is not what Macron promised. Macron promised, I will give the vote, the decision, the power back to the people. So Barnier acting with Article 49.3 and saying, okay, we cannot agree, so let's push it through the parliament without the vote, stays in contrast. So this is a very difficult situation, because it is true that France needs a new budgetary plan, I would say a rescue plan as well. It's a huge problem for France, who's the main European player still, and a main transatlantic player, to appear as a not credible partner. Because when your economy is falling and when your public debt is over 112%, you cannot really be leveraging and negotiating at the level at which you would like.
Absolutely. Karolina Borońska-Hryniewiecka, thank you very much for your time and for your valuable insights here. So, Weekend France in a moment of glory tomorrow. Thank you very much for watching, and please stay tuned to TVP Worlds as world news are coming next.